and it's time to rescue the boys. Yesterday we rescued Jebediah from orbit of the moon, but unfortunately I did not have enough delta V to do the plane change. It was almost 180 degrees. It was like 170 degrees because when I took off the lander, I took off to the west instead of the east, and so the orbit was opposite of what it was supposed to be. So I need to do yet another rescue mission. And we found that space planes, while fun to build, uh, didn't really quite cut it for getting all the way to the moon and back. So instead of space planes, we're going to do a rocket. And this time, so Jeb's back, but Bill and Bob are still out there in the lander orbiting the moon. So this KV-3 Pomegranate has a crew capacity of 3. So that should be able to enough to fit. Let's send just Valentina. Grizzly did the daring rescue with Valentina's help last time, but this time I think we're gonna stick with the title unless somebody does redeem the choose a hero, in which case we can totally hire another Kerbal. But for now we're gonna go with Valentina, good old Val. Let's kind of some kind of parachute. Hey Vandris, how's it going? I love that emote. I love it so much. You know how much I love it. Let's see. That parachute seems kind of tiny, but I think it worked. Itty bitty parachute. Oh, yeah, rescuing some Kerbals. Alright, what do I need? So I need room for 2 extra Kerbals. And what else? I think I should probably put a fairing around that. My Friday is wonderful. I slept in a little bit, then I had breakfast, and then I watched Ramius for a little while. Looks like little Linus is on his channel. Let's give Ramius a shout out. He's been streaming all day, as he does on weekdays. And let's see, I had a bunch of coffee, and I cooked up some pierogi and kielbasa, and I had them with sauerkraut, so it was delicious. Oh my gosh. Leona's reading on Ramius' stream. I mean, if you're not already watching, like, go over there and look, cause I'm dying over here. All right, but Kerbals. I'll just slowly keep on building this here rocket ship. I think we want the 1.875 meter. Let's kind of go with that. We can change the color a little bit more. So for this one, the last one was sort of a United States Saturn V type design. This one, I want to go with a more Russian-inspired design. So, going with the rounded capsule and the 1.875 meter stuff and things. So let's see. I think the Cheetah's a good deep space. Yeah, 355 in vacuum. That's gonna be good for that. Yep, Valentina is home safe. So let's see. Available crew. We got Jeb back safely. Grizzly was our daring pilot to bring back Jeb, but we still Bill and Bob are still out there. So we got to go get them. All right. So so this Delta V is just enormous. Way more than we need. So, what do we have for fuel tanks? Let's do like those two stacked. What is that? I kind of like the sort of alternating. That one. That one. Check on there. So that's going to be 2004 meters per second. I think that's going to be plenty for our maneuvering thing, but we do need a bit of monopropellant. So I think I want inline monopropellant because this that's still 1.85 tons of monopropellant. This is 0.23 for each of them. I put keyboard layout. That. What are they doing? I had a plan. Making another rescue ship, it's true. So I think instead of the fairing being way down there, I want the fairing to be outside of there. Now we've got two of those. Nice and snug. That gives us how much monopropellant? 100? I think 100's good. And then, so yes, indeed, another rescue ship. This quadrilateral symmetry there. It's a neat little mod here that shows how far these monopropellant thrusters are from the center of mass. Maybe I want to kind of it out like that. Not. Anytime there's a red circle there, that means it's off center a bit. So the monopropellant's gonna have to work harder. But really, I mostly only care about these for spin, imparting spin, and kind of forward and back translation. So I think that should be fine. Just two quadrilateral groups there. Let's delete the fairing and then rebuild it. I want it out like that. Vertical sections. Let's cone it top. Should be fine. And so this part here is going to be the once we get to the moon part. So to get that piece to the moon, we want to have something like 890, call it 900 meters per second of delta V. So that we could probably actually get away with, instead of this one, we do a what's it called? Engine plate. Medium short, and have a quadrilateral attachment node, and put some terriers on that. Bear variant. Okay. That shortens it up quite a bit too. And actually, what does that do to our delta? 500. Sounds like plenty. I think I want to edit this bearing to short. There. Yeah, I like the look of that. This with this. How much delta? 1,045. That's still way more than I need, but I might actually. So what is the to weight ratio here? 6.3. Let's do a shorter one for that as well. I mean, I suppose what we could do is just so that's a little bit too short. We could do 2 of these. Still much less than that seems good. Trust to weight ratio is 0.8. Which is fine, we'll be in vacuum. It's gonna be kind of a longish burn, but I'm okay with it. Then let's see. So another decoupler. And this is going to want to be a fairly sizable stage. It's getting us all the way. I think it is. So conical. This is the one I'm looking for. An FLT 800. Let's do 2 of those. And what engines were we looking at? I think the Kodiak. Where is that? Let's do a bare Kodiak. No. Do a small shroud. Middle. And then maneuvering thrusters because the Kodiak is not vector. Okay, so these all start at the same time. And I'm going to change the delta V level, so that's 1,905. Need to add about 1,000 in order to get this as high as. So, put some side stuff on. I think this is about the right height for it. We'll see. And then fuel tanks. We got there's that Russian style side tank. There it is. Bell C1000. Okay, so we're gonna have to move the brackets down a little bit. Let's put the engines on first. So I do Kodiaks for those as well. These get big shroud. So yeah, so these want to be at about the same height as this Kodiak. So they do include little boosters to fling them away from the ship. Fire those little boosters at the same time as releasing the camps. All these and so 1,680. plus 1,215 is going to be 2,895. That's close to the amount that I want. I want a little bit more delta V there. Although, how much this next stage has a decent amount more than I need. So I think we'll be all right. So the other thing I want to do for verniers here is verniers. I mean, rust. Some Cub engines. Other symmetric. Same height. I want to get it just right. So set. This will at least let us snap them similar. There. All right, and so let's see. Verniers. The Cubs and the Kodiaks want to be firing at all exactly the same time. I think I actually want the Cubs to be up a little higher. Not. I think they'll still be able to vector nicely there. So now our total is 1,459 plus 1,302. So 2, 7, 28, 20. Yeah, it's going to be a little tight, but I think it's doable. Thrust to weight ratio 2.18, so we can do a pretty aggressive gravity. Let's put some little fins on too. Just for funsies. So, basic fin, nice and low. Okay. And the staging. So, first stage is just turn on all the engines. Second stage is blast away the side boosters. Third stage is release the center stage and activate that engine and pop the fairing. Should be fine. Last rocket stage, number 2 here, be the orbital stage. Then just check that delta V. So last stage has 1,548. That's plenty. 1,200 is going to be also plenty to get to the moon. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the delta V numbers. Rest away. Uh-oh, what did I do? I think it was, I started to drag it and... Yeah, so this looks like a rocket. Possible to change the... Those fins are what they are. And I feel like I should auto strut to the heaviest part. Seems like strut as well. Okay, so for Nick, we're going to call this the JCD001, JC Denton, as in Deus Ex. All right, after Valentina in command. Okie dokie. Ready to launch. Gonna be a night launch. All right, so maximum throttle, turn on the stability assist, and launch. Flip over a little bit. I'll go for about 65 or 70 degrees before anti-gravity turn. My favorite thing about Russian rockets, Russian style like Soyuz rockets, is the side boosters, the way that they spin off when we're done with them. Called the Korolev Cross. Almost there. They just spin away. I love that so much. Alright, so I want to get this up to about 80 clicks. Punching our way through the atmosphere here. Alright, 50 clicks, we got 30 more to go for the apoapsis. The lighting in the Russian style capsules is dim and kind of, it's like yellow, like sodium light. Almost there. 72. 76. Kill it at about 80. Periapsis is negative 304. I like that a lot because that means I've got a nice shallow parabola here. Can fairly easily turn. It's closely approximating a circle. Be pretty close here, like 80 by 80. 83 by 80. I'm gonna stop fiddling with it. So I'll wait until we get up out of the atmosphere to the rotation. Oh, there's no gyros in this, so I'm gonna have to use the verniers. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of juice just to keep us kind of on track with the hubs there. That's gonna put the apoapsis a little higher, but I'm okay with that. We're just feathering the engine a tiny bit. Once we get above 70, I can then just aim at the maneuver. It's gonna be we're fighting our prograde a little bit wasteful because our vector's not the same as our direction of travel, but that's all right. We've got enough extra fuel, I think, that gonna be a problem. Actually, now that we're in vacuum and pointed at the maneuver vector, let's just sort of rely on inertia to keep us there. I'm gonna deploy this fairing. Let go so that we have at least the RCS exposed if necessary. So, aimed at the maneuver vector, gonna give it a teeny bit of gas, and countdown here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full speed ahead. A little bit wobbly, but that's okay. As long as we get into a steady orbit, we're going to be in good shape. 86 by 79. It's not quite as circular as I would have hoped, but I'm okay with it. And even though we still have a little bit of fuel left in these tanks, if just a few units, I'm going to cut loose this stage. So now the remaining mass is light enough that we can use RCS thrusters for alignment. So, next step, the moon. There. So my goal is to get going around the moon the opposite way that we're used to. So normally we approach it like this, so that we're still kind of going east relative to the moon. But I want to, so I think I'm going to have to increase the boost here just to get that orbit to be on the other side of the moon. Nope, that didn't quite do it. So I think we need more thrust and a different angle. So this here is what I'm looking for. It's approaching the moon ahead of it, and it's kind of going in an easterly direction around Kerman, but we want to be going kind of opposite. So if looking above, if most of our orbits go counterclockwise, we want this one to go clockwise, because that's what the lander is doing. So here we are, drifting in the darkness of space. Let's turn on our RCS thrusters. Well, first I'm going to have it aim at the maneuver node, and once we're kind of drifting nearer to it, I'm going to activate the RCS thrusters, get us the rest of the way there. As they settle down, just turn them off again. We're going to drift for 20 minutes. There's the sun. All right. So, falling off our maneuver vector a little bit, so turn on the RCS again, get us pointed the right direction. Seconds. This is going to be a long burn, 1 minute 38 seconds, because this engine here is not nearly as strong as some of the other ones. It's very efficient, but it doesn't have as high of a thrust force. So I think our thrust to weight ratio is actually even less than 1, which in vacuum that's all right. It just means it takes a while for us to push the mass. But if we were fighting gravity, that would be a problem, because gravity would win. It does have such a beautiful plume, doesn't it? Bright superheated gas shooting out the bell of the rocket. What I'm gonna do when it gets to be about probably 2-ish seconds, maybe 3 seconds away from the end of the burn, is instead of an abrupt cutoff, I'm going to just throttle down. I think it'll take about 3 seconds. Like, each of these hash marks is about a second worth of throttle movement. I might be overestimating. We'll see. There's the moon. A little round rock in space. There we are at 3 seconds. Okay, so I'll let it be a gentle burn for the last 20 meters per second or so. And then I am going to cut it off. 0.0. I like that. In a percent. So, this is looking good as our approach trajectory. And I want to set up a maneuver at closest approach at periapsis. And reduce our speed until we get in orbit. and actually reduce it even more. I want the next periapsis to be around 14 clicks. Oh, that's too much. 15 will do. So let's use the RCS now to get aimed at the maneuver vector for when we get there. Right. And we are aimed. Missing to stop. That off and fast forward. So Kate, how are you doing? How's your Friday so far? That's exactly what Vandris just asked me. Must have planted the idea in my mind. Okay, so here we are getting ready to maneuver. I think we don't need the RCS thrusters to align. It looks like we're pretty close to good alignment, and the vectored thrust of this rocket is gonna correct us as soon as SAS kicks in. Fast forward a teensy bit. Get us in that sweet 10-second range. Countdown going. 5, 4, 3, 1. Boost and a lot. Oop, wrong button. A lot of bit of boost. There we go. Look at this on the map. The trajectory gradually changing, and that the prediction conics also changing. Still an escape trajectory so far, but as we keep burning. Oh, I got a stage. Engines. This is a stubby little rocket, isn't it? We have it. Get a little closer. So I'm just gonna watch the periapsis. Get that to about 14. 15.5. 15.6. So that's good enough for me. So now, let's see. I want to set the lander as a target. So maybe getting that close was a bit too much. So let's see. We're clockwise around. So we're 16.8 degrees off. So if I set, that's the ascending node, so we want to burn anti-normal, which actually is up on the screen. Get that ascending node as close to 0 degrees as possible. And they start to kind of sling around the orbit. It looks like because these orbits are so centric to each other, I'm not going to be able to get exactly 0 with just an anti-normal maneuver here. Kind of just the way the perpendicularity of these vectors goes. Could probably finesse it by like trying a little bit of retrograde. Yeah, it looks like if we more, that does get it to 0. Okay, so, but that's such a fine distinction that I bet even using RCS to 85 out of 100, not too bad. So I bet even this rotational maneuver has probably thrown off. Didn't. Okay, that's not terrible then. So, got 1 hour and 22 minutes until that intersect. Intersect's not quite the right word. Until that maneuver node. I'll watch the missiles swing around the moon. Alright. Fancy bit of fast forward. Get it to the 10-second mark. overshot a little bit, but that's fine. 3, 2, 1, burn. That's a pretty short burn. Oh. So how are we looking? Ascending node 0.1 degrees is not bad at all. So let's add this periapsis, which is at 31 clicks. That's, I think, actually being a bit above is good. You want to shrink down the orbit to get an intersect. So this is going to be kind of on the opposite side of the. That's all right. I think we're good with that. Work out the how to match orbits once we get a little bit closer, once the diameters are more similar. And diameter is also not quite a accurate thing, because diameter only really pertains to circles, and where all of our orbits are ellipses. So unless our orbit is perfectly circular, there is no diameter. There's only major axis and minor axis. And usually a lot of stuff will talk about the semi-major and semi-minor, which is so from the middle of the ellipse, which is not the middle of the mass, unless it is a circular orbit. From the middle of the ellipse out to kind of one of the far ends is a semi-major axis. And that's kind of like a radius, but not quite. And then to one of the shorter sides, it's semi-minor axis. It is like, depending on what calculations you're doing, it's important to note that the center of the ellipse is different from the focus of the ellipse. So any elliptical orbit, the center of the thing that it's orbiting around is going to be at one of the foci at the ellipse. So enough geometry. Let's do some rocketry. First I want to aim at maneuver vector. All settled. Fast forward. Wonderful catch visual sight of the other vessels as we're swinging in. Seeing them. I don't know if our labels are on or off. Okay, so let's turn the RCS back on. Get aimed very precisely. It's going to be a 5-second burn. Just a little bit of fast forward. Get to about 10 seconds. Get into countdown zone. I like all the rubble and stuff at this particular angle of sunlight. Alright, and it's burn time. Alright, what does our situation look like? We actually have two intercepts, the orange one and the purple one. Tangerine and plum, let's call them. So I think at the tangerine intercept, I want to make the orbit here. If we can get that other target position to swing all the way around. So that's actually, we're kind of increasing apoapsis up to 160 clicks. But it's only going to cost us 55 meters per second. 55.4. That's not too bad. We're already kind of pointed in the right direction. So let's go ahead and fast forward. Hey, Jared's Terrain Minis. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Just doing a little bit of Kerbal Space Program over here. Are you watching Ramius and me at the same time? Okay, turn on RCS so we can aim at that blue maneuver vector. Just lurking while working. Yeah. Well, hang on a second. I'm just going to pause for a moment to give you a good shout out. Jarrett. Jarrett is a wonderful 3D sculptor. Among other things, of course. So, yeah, no problem. Glad to spread the love. So, what was I thinking about? Right, orbits and stuff. So I got a 1 second burn. I'm probably not even gonna go full throttle for this one. I'm just gonna wait till the countdown gets to 0 and then do maybe like a 1/3 throttle burn. Spread it out over more than just a second. Goal here is to, let's see, get one of these intersects to be about one. Oop, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the wrong thing, but that's all right. We don't need to be super precise about the timing. So let's see. Our intersect is 17. Let's turn off that. We use the RCS thrusters just for fine. 92 meters. That's nice and close. So now, see that our tangerine intersect is just right on top of itself. It's good. So it's going to take us a while to get there, though. It's going to be in 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 10 seconds. I didn't take a good look at the relative velocity, relative speed 66.9. So we would just want to basically lead off that whole 66.9, match velocity. Get that plumb vector right up. That'll get us close enough to make some adjustments. It looks like actually we could benefit from some out. And that way, this one is still 1.5 clicks, and this one is under half a click. So it's going to take us a while to get there, though, and we're pointed slightly the wrong direction. So let's get aimed at the maneuver node. And then turn off the RCS. Fast forward that 1 hour. Alright, I think we do have visual. It's just a tiny, tiny speck, 4 clicks away. Alright, RCS on. Need to get rid of 66.8 meters per second relative speed. So Jarrett, if I remember correctly, you are the creator of the hexagonal terrain tiles, right? Oh, yeah, we can actually see the vessel there. Very brief burn here. Brief burn. Oop. I've overdone it a little bit. Now what we can do is just aim directly at the target. Try to zero out the relative speed. So go towards the target. Get that prograde vector right on the target. And we're within 140. Now let's just sort of drift closer. A lot of Dwarven Forge for D&D, and you kickstarted some printable hex tiles, but haven't made any yet. Alright. That, I mean, being able to set up a high fidelity landscape for games with miniatures, it's cool stuff. since we're about 50 meters away, most of what you've crafted so far has been scatter terrain and spell effects. Spell effects sounds cool. So like casting a fireball or flaming hands or like a water bolt, stuff like that. All right, so I'm going to turn off the RCS and switch over to Lander. Bill, you're first on the list. Wall of Ice. Oh, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Lights. Go. Turn on the back thrusters. Finesse our way over here. Grab, I think. Right. Bill has made it to the JCD 001. Let's go get Bob now. Right. Bob EPA. Turn on the lights. And now that there's nobody in there to hold the stick, the lander's just tumbling. Backpack jets. Target the other one, the JCD 001. And get there, but not too fast. Slam into it. Aim for the porthole. Another successful spacewalk. Alright. So now that we've gotten them, we can untarget lander. It's just sort of tumbling, unpowered, undirected. We want to get back home. So, in order to do that, we're going to have to escape the moon. Like that. Good angle. Yeah, so that's costing us 215. We've got 834. 834 is a good, generous amount to back. So, what we can do is kind of a multi-stage. So that's 41. So if we have 215 here, 241 there. If I just get that down to the abscess of, call it 50. 50 clicks. 48 might. So that maneuver is 677. This is 215. So it's not quite going to cut it. So instead of that, it's going to take more time, but we can do the maneuver way up here at that far abscess. Oh, I guess we're kind of intersecting the moon again. So have an idea. Got 30 minutes till that one, so I have some time to play with maneuvers if we leave it on regular time. I just shrink this down a little bit to be far enough away from the moon. That's going to be 47 meters per second. And then it takes less delta V at a high distance to change the orbital size. It's too much. Did I say 50? It's good dip into the atmosphere. And we can fine tune it. There we go, 51. That's good. So, get aimed at the maneuver node. So for Wall of Ice, just thinking about the spell effects, do you print it with a particular type of material so that it's like translucent, transparent? I imagine that could look pretty cool if you get, because so like when Ramius does miniature prints, the resin that he's using is sort of this transparent green that looks like candy. I can imagine that if you had a similar like bluish or kind of blue-green version of that, that could be fun. Nice. Sorry, I probably I don't mean to be distracting you from work, asking you all kinds of questions and stuff. Just fun things to to put on the table. And yeah, it's been kind of a shame. Like I quite like miniatures and painting. I'm not very good at it myself, and I my main issue with painting Ender 3, which is FDM, not resin. Good for terrain, but not so much for minis. Okay, so I would imagine that like good for terrain means that you can get larger prints, but maybe less detail. So I think this maneuver still looks. So let's just aim at it. Neat little RCS thrusters going. 1 day and 3 hours. Let's definitely fast forward that one. Where is the moon? We've swung away from the moon. Now we're getting closer to Kerman now. Where is the moon? It's like way. Oh, there it is. I couldn't see it because it was silhouetted. But a large print bed. You can print a whole tavern in 2 pieces. Wow, that's impressive. You print some minis, but they look as good once painted. Yeah, so the resin printed minis have so much detail. I figured that might be what you meant. Don't look as good. That it's hard to get the quite the level of detail that's getting there. Whereas like the Mind Flayer, I think that's another Lord of the Print miniature. Had the just very sharp fingers and features and stuff. Set myself tumbling. That's okay. This one doesn't need to be precise either. This one and pretty close and like somewhere between 45 and 50 is good. And yeah, at these orbits, it's a whole day to the next maneuver. The moon out there? It might be. I think we're pretty far from. Nope. What is that out there? Oh, that's the other moon. So Kerman has 2 moons. It's got the regular moon called MUN, and then it's got one called Minmus, and I totally lost track of it now that it's not moving. It's out there somewhere, and it's little, but it's big enough that we could see it as a moving thing. At it there? No. Well, I've completely lost track. I had a telescope I could scan the sky, but somewhere out there. That's the regular moon. Oh, I should be paying attention to my countdown as well. slow throttle down here. What's our periapsis? 59. Let's lower that a little. 51. I feel good about 50. We've still got 337 meters per second of delta V go. That's more than plenty. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fast forward time warp till we hit atmosphere. Kerman spin, get the moon in there. We are heading for atmosphere. Turn around so that we're facing retrograde. Then use up all of our remaining rocket fuel. Cut it loose. Here we are, just a sphere falling through the atmosphere. So while this drifts down, I'm gonna go grab a drink. Be right back. Whistling. Yep, that's heated up air. Tumbling through the atmosphere. Go. Oh, still moving too fast for the parachute to be effective. Looks like we're gonna have a water landing. Focus my missile. There we go. Oh, we might actually have to do multiple passes here if our... Well, our vertical speed is still negative, although now it's passing the 0 point. If our apoapsis doesn't go below 70 before we escape the atmosphere, we might have to go for another pass. We'll see. Sometimes it does take a few revolutions. Oh, it looks like it's dropping fast enough. The apoapsis is looking like it's going to be below 70 before we get anywhere near 70 on the altitude. Yep, there it goes. Almost there. And we are definitely subatmospheric at this point. For some reason it completely reset the zoom when I went to map and back. Okay, let's change the camera angle. It believes we're landing at some point. And my guess is we're going to land in the ocean around here. We might make it to the land, but only burned up a fraction of the ablator. So the whole bottom of this, it's actually, I don't know if it's see with the highlight and the particle effects going on and the light at our back, but there's like a hexagon pattern whole thing. So presumably the whole like underbelly of the capsule is some kind of ceramic thing that just very slowly burns away as we enter the atmosphere. Surface. velocity like? Still close to 2 clicks per second. Mighty fast. That is quite fast. Faster than the speed of sound for sure. This point, so we have our atmosphere gauge here. We're in the part where it shows kind of bluish, but it shows that it's fairly thin up here, so it's not actually decelerating us a whole lot. We don't have a huge amount of surface area either, but it is slowly but surely slowing us down, and kind of the benefit of that as well is the more we slow down, the more the trajectory kind of shrinks into. We're gonna land pretty close to Kerbal Space Center. Ah, I like that. So it doesn't matter in sandbox mode, but in career mode on certain difficulties, it costs you more Kerbal money to recover your vessels the further they are from Kerbal Space Center. So like something on the launch pad doesn't cost hardly anything at all to recover, and something like out in the ocean is fairly cheap, but something on the entire other side of the planet or like on the poles would be pretty expensive. So, screaming through the atmosphere. I'm just gonna wait for this icon to at least become yellow, if not gray. Red indicates that it is unsafe to deploy the parachute. And we are using a fairly small parachute for this whole pod, but in previous tests, it looked like it was able to slow the pod to about 10 meters per second, which is well within its safety thresholds. I think it should be able to survive at least 70 meters per second impact speed, but I would prefer not to risk it. I'm gonna have to look up what FDM means. Know from context that it is a 3D printing material. Is it like a filament printer? I'm only kind of tangentially. Okay, there's our safety indicator. Parachute. Good. It's going to be a night landing as it was a night launch. I know there's a lot of different materials that you can print out of printers these days. Some of them are plastic. I think I even read of there were ones that use like some kind of bamboo compound, or like you can get like a substrate that has wood embedded in it, so you can actually kind of 3D print wooden items, and metal. I have to imagine that the 3D printers that print metal have to get it very, very hot. And that you'd probably want a very good ventilation setup around any kind of metal 3D printer. To 1,000 meters, this is gonna balloon out. Oh, now that we're down below 70, that's safe enough. 8.5. Okay, so it's a little faster than I usually go for. I usually try for like somewhere between 4 and 6 meters per second, but 8.5 is still reasonably slow. Speaking of slow, I'm going to speed up time, get to splashdown a little quicker. Right. Now that we're splashed down, let's take a look from perspective of, I guess this is probably Bill. I don't know why it picked Bill and not Valentina. Cockpit view. To, oh, I think there's a key to switch whose seat you're looking from, but what it is. So, here we are, recovering the vessel. And it's going to go to the astronaut complex. So we've got Valentina, Bill, and Bob. Next assignment. So we got Jeb, Bill, Bob, Valentina, and Crisley. All safe and sound, happy on the surface of Kerman. So that was my goal for this stream, was to get the boys back home safely. So thank you for coming along. I hope that you enjoyed watching, and I will next be streaming tomorrow. Kind of sort of back to my schedule. So normally on Saturdays I would stream at 10 a.m. Eastern, but tomorrow I'm gonna shift it later in the day to be more like 1 p.m., 13 o'clock Eastern U.S. time, because I have a meeting in the morning on Saturday. So anyhow, for now though, let's go raid. Looks like, let's see. Amius is on, Noter's on. I think a Noter raid is maybe where it's here. And as always, thank you for watching.